When germs enter your body and make you sick, how does your body fight back? The answer is your immune system. Your immune system is your body's protector against infection. How do your cells know where the germs are, and how do they find them?
Welcome! Today we will be talking about leukocyte circulation and leukocyte adhesion deficiency. First, let's begin with leukocyte circulation. Phagocytic cells are a part of the innate immune system, meaning that they function as part of the body's general response to a wide array of invaders. They work by engulfing material using their cell membrane and destroying it using a variety of enzymes. Normally, phagocytes move throughout the body using the circulatory system. When an infection or injury has occurred, molecules known as chemokines are released from the affected area. Phagocytes have receptors for these chemokines and can follow the gradient to get to where they are needed. Once they have arrived at the general location, they must cross the layer of endothelial cells lining the blood vessel to enter the affected tissue. This process is known as extravasation. For this to work, phagocytes must bind to proteins called selectins and integrins, which allows them to pass through the membrane. The process of extravasation is necessary to allow the innate immune system to fight infections and help the body recover from injury. Phagocytic cells can enter the infected or injured tissue and remove foreign invaders and dead cells. An interesting example of this takes place shortly after a baby is born. After the umbilical cord is cut, the cells within it gradually begin to die. Phagocytes engulf the no longer needed cells, allowing the umbilical cord to dry up and fall off.
Leukocyte deficiency type 1 is just one example of what happens when there is a disruption in leukocyte circulation. Type 1 of this disease is the most common of the three types. In type 1, there's a mutation in the gene that encodes CD18, a subunit of integrin molecules. This mutation is inherited and is recessive, meaning that the affected individual must have inherited 2 copies of the mutated gene. In other words, the individual had to receive 1 mutated copy from each parent. A mutation in the CD18 subunit causes defective integrins, which is a serious problem for leukocyte extravasation. Without integrins, leukocytes cannot adhere strongly to the blood vessel and extravasation cannot occur. More specifically, leukocytes cannot squeeze through the blood vessel wall and therefore cannot leave the bloodstream. This means that leukocytes, specifically phagocytes, get trapped and cannot reach the site of infection. This causes bacteria and other pathogens at infection sites to grow uncontrollably and cause severe damage to various tissues. Tissue damage creates tissue debris, and because of a lack of leukocytes, this debris will not be cleaned up, and wound healing will be disrupted. This is why newborns are significantly affected. When the umbilical cord is first cut, the debris from dead cells surrounding the area is not cleaned, and part of the dry umbilical cord remains. Leukocyte adhesion deficiency types 2 and 3 also exist. In type 2, affected individuals carry a mutation that results in the loss of Siala-Lewis X from phagocytes. This molecule binds selectins on the blood vessels to initiate extravasation. So without it, leukocytes are unable to roll across blood vessels and extravasation cannot begin. Similar to type 1, this disease is also recessive. On the other hand, type 3 leukocyte adhesion deficiency is caused by a mutation in the Kinlin3 gene. This gene is important for the function of integrin molecules, and this mutated form creates defective integrins. This blocks strong binding of the phagocyte to blood vessels, blocking phagocytes from leaving the blood and traveling to infected areas.
Now that we know how LAD works, let's zoom out to see how our whole body is affected. Symptoms of leukocyte adhesion deficiency begin in infancy. The first sign of the disorder is delayed umbilical cord detachment. Further symptoms include frequent infection of the skin or mucosal membranes and slowly healing wounds. Scars are often poorly formed and appear blue. As mentioned before, LAD causes leukocytes to remain stuck in the blood. This elevated number of leukocytes can then be detected, leading to disease diagnosis. Diagnosing LAD type 1 in particular can be done through flow cytometric analysis of the membrane, showing decreased or absent CD18. Due to the importance of leukocytes in clearing infections, most individuals won't survive past infancy without treatment. Antibiotics are regularly given to help prevent serious infections, but don't offer a long-term solution. Thankfully, there is another treatment option. Individuals with LAD can undergo a bone marrow transplant. The goal is to replace their hematopoietic stem cells. The hematopoietic stem cell gives rise to all other types of blood cells. Therefore, in patients with LAD, a replacement of these stem cells in the bone marrow can act as a reboot of the immune system. New leukocytes can be made, and these new cells will be able to extravasate normally. That was a lot of information. Let's sum it up. Today we learned that our immune system is our best defense against foreign bacteria, viruses, and other invaders. People with leukocyte adhesion deficiency have a genetic mutation that produces abnormal leukocytes which can't properly grab onto our blood vessel walls. All three types of LAD patients experience frequent infections because of this. Fortunately, long-term treatments exist that can reboot the immune system and restore its normal function. When we understand more about the immune system, we understand more about ourselves. Thanks for watching!